Let me ask you about this. Do you know someone, or maybe you are an adult who has suffered trauma in the past? Now, trauma comes in a lot. I mean, that encompasses a lot of things. Could be emotional, could be physical, could be sexual violence, could be any number of things. But it manifests itself, if it happens, especially in your youth. When does that go away? Does it ever go away? How do you deal with it? All these questions. I don't know that I've ever had that kind of trauma. I know people who have. My own sister, when she was 12 years old, 12 and 13, very formative years, basically we were told as a family that her cancer was incurable, and they studied her case out. Anyway, she's 70-something years old today. That's a long story I don't have time for, but you know what we have time for is Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing, and with Dr. John B. on the web. Doc, good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Mike. And, it always amazes me, even after all these years as a therapist, how many people are being told that it is time to get over their trauma they have experienced at one time or another and to just move on in their lives. My first statement for trauma victims is that you alone determine when the experience of the trauma you have experienced are under control to the point you can live your life, without them dictating or negatively impacting your life. This is true regardless of whether the trauma was physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, abandonment, poor treatment by other persons, war experiences, illness, employment mistreatment, or, whatever it might be that has caused, you trauma. It is not for other people to determine if you really do have trauma or when is it time for you to move on. It also is true that persons with trauma have different levels of support from those around them, such as clergy, family, friends, coworkers, therapy, or any other factors that can help a person get over trauma. It also is true that persons are different and react differently to trauma. There may be two persons who each may have suffered the same trauma and had the same support, but one has moved on while the other is still trying to reclaim their life due to it. It is critical the person with trauma identifies specifically what the trauma is and try to develop a plan to at least make it less destructive in their life. Now, it's certainly harmful when persons you may love and care for are telling you your trauma was not really that bad, or give examples of persons who have it worse, or say you're making others think you are behaving as a victim for sympathy. Say it has been long enough. Time is long enough. Now's the time to move on.
Yeah.
Now, in the middle of this, you need, Mike, you need to give credence to your own feelings and sort out a plan to overcome the trauma that will be right for you. Ignore the background noise, even if well-intentioned. Sometimes finding an experienced therapist with trauma-related situations can be helpful. It also can be helpful to talk with friends and family members who are sensitive to your situation and are doing all they can to help you move on at your pace as best you can in your life. And a key thing, Mike, to keep in your mind is that there is eventually a blue sky with a warm breeze and a bright sun beyond the heavy clouds and storms in your life caused by the trauma you have experienced waiting for you. So the key here really is, if you've had trauma and had difficult things happen to you, you have to be working, obviously, trying to overcome it, but the pace is different from each person. Some people move on quicker. And the main thing is that hurts people is when friends, family, or whoever is telling them it's time to get over it, move on, where each person has to do this individually. And we need to be sensitive to the person and try to be supportive rather than just pushing them or ignoring them or saying, well, time up. Now it's time to move on. So it's something we really have to do if we're going to be helpful to people that we care for that are suffering trauma.
At what point in your professional world, at what point does an incident or a thing become trauma and not just part of someone's life? Because we all go through stuff.
Yes.
What makes it trauma?
I think when it really impacts you negatively and it's in your life a lot, and you're thinking about it a lot, and it can lead to depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry. Everybody has issues. You're right, Mike. Everybody has things that bother them, but they don't always, or hopefully most of the time, don't impact the day-to-day life and don't impact our ability to function. It's when something just sticks in there, it doesn't leave, and the images keep coming back. And it's like a PTSD in some cases. That person just is leveled. And what the person has to do, of course, is not ignore it, just come to grips with it, try to place it in perspective, realize that we live in the now. You know, you really can't be letting things that have occurred in the past ruin the now, because there's no present, there's no future. So it's just important to work on these things. But every person is different. Somebody can have something, we'll even say far worse, happen to them. Okay, but they have found a way to move on. They don't deny it. They're aware of it. They observe it. They even study it. But they put it in perspective as they move on and get their life in order. And I think we've all known people that we could say, golly, it seems like they just can't get over that, or they're taking so long, where others just move on. So I think we have to be sensitive that people do things differently, and it can be difficult. Now, that doesn't mean we just feed into something and just say, yeah, no one's had it better, worse than you, or that type thing. No, we're supportive. We try to take the person where they are and help them move forward as best they can. So this is something important. Another thing, too, there are things that may not have bothered us in the past, but the more we think about it now, come forward. So that happens, too. So humans are very complicated persons, and as a result, these things come, they hopefully go, and my goal, and I think your goal as a person, is we just try to be helpful, supportive, and help the person get over the trauma, the results that impact them day to day and hurt their relationships with others and can be very damaging to their own life.
Yeah. And as we wrap up here, I just said real quick, is it kind of like, this may be a dumb question. There are no dumb questions, but is it kind of like alcoholism in that I have friends who are recovering alcoholics, and they all say you're never fully recovered. You're always, it's like an everyday fight, and you just go one day at a time, and then next thing you know, you've got 30 days or 50 or whatever, and they have the little coins and the stuff like that. Is that the same thing with trauma? It's like you're never really over it. You just go one day at a time?
Well, I think it depends. I think that it's actually not a bad analogy there. I think what you do, you recognize what happened, you try to deal with it emotionally, and you can even see that the person who really hurt you or did something to cause you trauma, that really it reflects more on them negatively than it does on you. And you don't forget it. I mean, you don't necessarily forget it, but you cope with it. You realize what happened. You look at it. You put it in perspective and realize that you control your memories. You have to try to control your memories and don't let the negative ones come forward, like from the trauma. You try to put everything in perspective, and in a way, you don't forget it, particularly how bad the trauma was, but you just keep it in perspective. If you want to use the word sobriety, okay, you could do that.
Well, kind of.
You try to keep these thoughts away and not really allow them to come in and overtake the person, because a lot of people have a lot of trauma. They've had negative things happen. It can be divorces. It can be abuse.
Oh, yeah.
It can be whatever it might be. I mean, people run into difficulties how they're treated by people, how they were treated by people.
We're up on time, as always, too short of a time, but deep subject. Remember, if you think you're touched by this stuff, as always, Regional Psychological Services, drjohnb.com on the web. Our good friend, Dr. John Braccio. Hey, Doc, thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
All right, see ya. 1320 WILS.